Hi there, Castlebrook Dragons. This is Mr. Corrigal coming at you via the World Wide Web, down your street and around the world. The focus of this video is the rubric for the news report on the literacy test. So to start out, I'm going to Google search EQAO literacy test rubrics. I'm searching for 2014. Strangely enough, I wasn't able to find the news report on the 2014 rubrics. So that's a bit of an issue. So instead, what I've done is I have, let's go to the 2013 rubrics. And in this publication by EQAO, they release the news report rubric. I'm just going to find it here for you. Alright, here we are. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the rubric for the news report. And similar to the series of paragraphs supporting an opinion, you are able to get 0 on this task. And the way that you get 0 is you leave the question blank, your writing is illegible or irrelevant to the prompt, or you're just completely off topic. Once again, this news report is out of 60 points. Obviously you want to score a 60, so let's take a look at this description. What do they want from us? The response in the news report should be related to the headline and photo. I think we covered that in the video on the task. There should be a clear, consistent focus on an event. So you do not want to stray too far from one newsworthy event. Once again, here's that wording again, sufficient, specific, supporting details. That's the same stuff that they were looking for in the series of paragraphs. And also they're looking for organization. They want to see a progression of ideas. So just like last time, they've given us some examples. So here, as mentioned, this is a code 10. This student got 10 points. And as you can see, there's very little writing. However, they were on task. This response is related to the headline and to the photo, although there's not a whole lot of writing there. Moving up here, you can see that there are 2 paragraphs here. Something interesting here, there is a detail. Here, the student refers to Mitt Romney, who's an actual, and Barack Obama, actual politicians, American ones. So you can see the difference there between the code 10 and the code 20. Moving up, this is a code 30, so a 30 out of 60. This student is answering the 5 W's. We have September 21st, students at an unnamed school held elections for student council. This one is very similar to the one that I was drafting, so perhaps Mr. Corrigal only would have got a 30 out of 60. This news article is talking about how students are voting instead of principals deciding everything. So this student is making an attempt at covering a newsworthy detail. This response has a clear focus on an event. The supporting details are insufficient and vague. So the wording that they found vague was in charge of all school functions. Doesn't really say what that entails, what that includes. Students will be unhappy. Again, that wording can be strengthened. Give kids a say. This expression is sort of idiomatic. It's not a formal expression. However, there is evidence of organization. There's an introduction in this news report and a conclusion. All right, so let's move on to the code 40. Here's an example. I'm just going to go to the annotation. In the level 40, there's a clear and consistent focus on an event. There are sufficient supporting details. Some are specific. So examples of specific details. that the EQAO provides a date, Thursday, April 3rd, 2013, to grade 12 students. You can see how these phrases are a little bit stronger, a little bit more detailed and specific than the ones that we saw in the level 30. So again, they're using the student language here, student's first and last name, and student's first and last name. Last school year. Again, they're talking about how some details here are vague. So referring to the last school year instead of providing the year. So 2014 would be more specific than just saying last school year. This phrasing, do great things, again, that's a vague phrasing. And held no mercy. This student claimed that the two candidates, the two students, held no mercy for one another in this election. So again, that phrasing is a little bit idiomatic, a little bit informal for a news report. So moving up the ladder, we have a code 50 here. Something that I noticed in this news report, that there was multiple quotations said. This student has a quotation from each of the two candidates in the election, and by providing two quotations, perhaps this provides better, sufficient, specific details. It says here the quotations from the student and principal are effectively integrated. So what that means is you have speaker tags. We know who is saying it. Here the student says that the principal, and provides a name, said. You don't ever want to begin a sentence with your quotation. The quotation marks should not be the first thing that your reader reads in that sentence. You have to use those speaker tags in order to effectively integrate them. Now let's look at the level 60. This is pretty impressive. So this student does follow the template. Here we have a date line. We have the title of the paper. And here it looks like, no, I was going to say there was a byline, but this is the beginning. So let's take a look at one of the things that really impresses me about this news report, and obviously it impressed the EQAO as well, is this student is using actual political parties, actual political figures in Ontario. So here the student mentions NDP leader Andrea Horwath, and they're also mentioning down here the Ontario Liberal Party and the Ontario Conservative Party. So this student is actually going sort of one step beyond what I showed you in the example, using sufficient specific supporting details by actually using real politicians. Again, using facts and figures is always a good idea to improve specificity, including relevant quotations, which are deliberately placed to develop the reasons for the mock election. And also the organization is coherent. The response demonstrates a thoughtful progression of ideas from facts about the election to purpose, to results, and to future implications. So this sentence here, it really refers to that inverted triangle that we were talking about before. So the response demonstrates a thoughtful progression of ideas from facts about the election. So this is where the most important 5 W's plus H belong in the beginning. Then in the middle paragraph, this student talks about the purpose of this election. This was a mock election in which young people voted in order to gauge the popularity of political parties amongst young people. So that was the purpose, and that was so that would answer the question, why was this held? And then lastly, this student Sorry. There we go. Lastly, this student talks about results and future implications in the ending. So according to the inverted triangle, that would be the least important information, but nice to know. And that's about it as far as the rubric for the news report. Continue to take those quizzes and continue to study hard. That's it for me.